Hello and welcome to Universal Love Law. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. And let's jump into this video today. So, today's video is about being anchored in truth and why, when you are anchored in truth, you will always win in every relationship that you have with another person, okay? So, I want to get into the interesting mechanisms that were designed for this matrix. What governs this realm of reality? We are going to discuss how being anchored in truth is impacted by the higher intelligence of time, the higher intelligence of fate, the higher intelligence of destiny, and the higher intelligence of karma, and how time and space work together, but how truth doesn't need time. All it needs is space. Now, these are very complex concepts, but they're universal, meaning you can apply this to any situation you're going through. And that's the best kind of knowledge. You can apply it to a work relationship. You can apply it to a romantic relationship, a platonic relationship, a familiar family relationship, right? But we're going to talk about it today. Being anchored in truth means that you are operating from the energetic realm, not from the physical 3D realm, but the energetic realm. The energetic realm is where the soul lives in its truth. When you operate in truth, the energetic realm is speaking to you through your intuition, through the way that you feel. That is the way that the soul expresses itself and processes. And that is designed before birth. There is a pre-birth contract that goes along with the soul. But the energetic realm, it holds the soul and it holds the truth. And it doesn't operate where the physical realm does with the ego. Okay? So when you're anchored in truth, you're in the energetic realm. You are operating from your intuition. You are using your discernment, and you are operating with divine truth. All right? It's not a need to be right. It's not a need to win. It's not a need to fight. You use silence, you use space as your resources and tools to elevate you throughout life. And that's when time works for you. But we're going to get into that. Now, the physical 3D realm, it filters what the energetic realm is in truth standing in. So our physical 3D realm is what we can see, and is where the ego has built this illusion of self due to fear. The ego is not a bad thing. The ego is afraid. So the ego in 3D uses its filter to disguise what the soul is truly feeling when the soul and the ego are not aligned with one another. Okay? So, when a person is operating from ego, they utilize the filter of projection to manipulate the reality around them. And this is why we feel vibes that don't match what we're seeing, right? Energy can be measured, right? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So energy never lies because it can be measured by the way that it feels. So a person operating in soul and in divine truth and wholeness, they can see through the facade of the ego. Not to be this greater than everyone person, but to be authentic in their journey of expression, their soul's expression, right? So when the ego is operating in the physical realm, now, if a person is so far off track that they've developed an ego in the Maya illusion earth realm school, they begin to protect this illusion of self at all cost. So if you are a divine truth teller that is contractually implanted in a person's soul journey as a catalyst to evolve them into their higher truth, you are the biggest threat to their illusion. And this is why people that are anchored in truth are some of the greatest targets for hate and frustration that's misguided or misplaced. That's the word that I want to use. So the ego is in the 3D realm operating, holding the illusion, and it's built on a falsehood. Now, let's get some examples of this, right? Let's say you are a catalyst sent into a person's life to awaken them to their higher truth in a romantic realm, where you've met someone who's living in a lie, living in an illusion, but they do everything to protect it. Maybe they're attached to a karmic narcissist that they're bounded to through children, or through obligations, or through guilt, or through toxic karmic patterns, generational trauma, familiarity, the familiar energy that was created in their early childhood experiences that created this toxic, codependent, trauma bond, right? And then you come in, the light, the lighthouse, a beacon of hope for this person. And it looks like in society, in the physical realm, that you're the wrong person. But for some reason, you guys keep coming back, awakening one another into truth. The catalyst, male or female, you may be the male or the female, may be looking at the person living in their ego, their illusion, and thinking, why are you not able to face your truth and detach from what's holding you back? Now, this doesn't only happen in romantic relationships. You can apply the same dynamic of being the catalyst or being the beacon of light for someone drowned in the illusion of Maya. The school or ego takes place because we're afraid to let go of that illusion we've created for ourselves out of survival. Then you have such a major role, but you also are triggered. You also are traumatized because you are trying your hardest to awaken someone that is coming in because they feel the truth from you, but also pulling away because they cannot face the truth. This is why a lot of podcasts generalize relationships in a way that is not healthy for human consumption, because relationships go so deeper beyond the veil, and the purpose for them are for many, many, many different reasons. But I want to stay focused on the concept here, right? I just gave you an example. Now we're going to go deeper into the purpose of this message. When you are anchored in your higher truth, operating as a divine masculine or divine feminine, then you will always win. Time is a construct made to teach people lessons. It looks linear, but it can collapse when you are operating from your higher truth. Time partners with karma when a person is out of alignment, on the wrong path, focused on their ego illusion that they've created. That is a lie they are living in. Okay? The ego's so skilled at keeping the soul, the physical body, bound into the illusion because it needs to survive. Who wants to feel like a failure, that what they've invested all this time into isn't even real? Oh my God. Damn, that just hurt it to even say. I have so much compassion for people that live in lies, right? So time works with karma, right? If you're anchored in truth, it doesn't matter if time is near, or time doesn't matter when it comes to truth. What truth needs and what truth partners with is space. Because as long as the truth is in a person's face that's living in a lie, let's say you are trying to tell a person the truth and they're not, they'll do at any cost, they will try to block out what you're saying. Like, no, no, no. But space partners with the truth in order to reveal itself. Time isn't a necessary resource required for truth to be revealed, because truth was already at the foundation of the relationships that we start. How you meet a person, what the truth of your relationship with this is with that person is the key to your salvation when you're operating in truth. But when you're operating in ego, operating in a lie, and then the universe sends a catalyst of truth, divine truth, and you still don't awaken, although your ego was placed in a space where your illusion is being built brick by brick, right? But it's built on sand, so it is not sustainable because it is not real. So the ego's holding on to this illusion, and time is linear to this ego. And what happens is time begins to contrast, right? It stretches out. It seems like it's longer. The ego begins to say, I knew we were meant to be together because look at how much we've overcame and we're still together, right? And the ego needs time to validate its existence. Like, time is what works with the ego to continue in the illusion. But as time is recording the efforts the ego puts in to keep the illusion alive, is what's activating the karma, the figure eight that's swirling above that person's head, because they are not grounded and operated in truth. And as fate brings in these catalysts to redirect the soul that is trapped in the ego, fear, survival mode, and they don't awaken, then truth has done its job already. And what happens is the catalyst, as long as they're anchored in truth, as long as they're not feeding the ego, right? I'll get deeper in this conversation as we evolve in this understanding. But as long as truth is operating in a divine space where it's not chasing, it's not proving, it's not begging, it's not forcing the ego to see the truth, but it's just being truth. It's just being a still, strong boulder in the middle of a storm, anchored in truth like a lighthouse. The ego will always kind of like, the ego will break, shatter, and the soul will come forth. And the soul will always go back to the catalyst of light. Even though it will get afraid, the soul won't be afraid, but the ego will be afraid. And then it will move right back into that illusion. And then, you know what the ego does? This is people that you may know in your life. The ego of people that are afraid to face the truth, they will reject you. They will ignore you. They will be rude to you because the ego is trying to survive. And you're like, what happened? I thought we were okay. You're just operating from truth. And the ego's like, nope, you're shattering my illusion. I cannot do this. So it tests. And it's not coming from a place of wanting to hurt the person that's anchored in truth. It's coming from a place of fear, because everything it's built over time is crumbling. But destiny is activated when the ego dies. So if you are a catalyst of light brought into a person's world, orbiting in their illusion to awaken them into their higher truth, where they're able to call out what it is that they're seeing. Maybe they're with a narcissist. Maybe you're helping them to identify the control and manipulation that narcissist has over them, where they can identify it with words and say, You're manipulating me. You're gaslighting me. The moment that the truth comes and tells the ego, hey, you're accepting behavior that's unacceptable. That is not normal. You have a normalized trauma. The moment the ego is able to admit truth is when the illusion shatters and the ego dies. So a lot of people are sent in other people's lives as catalysts to activate an ego death. Don't get high and mighty and think I'm such a loving light that I'm going to tell this person that they're wrong and they need to learn, because that's not divine masculine or divine feminine energy. The soul that operates in the energetic realm is the truth, and it doesn't need to force the ego to see the truth. Time will do that. Time will partner with karma to activate that contrast that time is so skillfully designed to do on the ego over time. Okay? So I know this is a very complex concept. It is very metaphysical. It explains energy that is in the unseen realms, and so it's difficult to put it into perspective, but that's what I'm here to help people become, is become aware of who you already are. I'm here to reawaken the soul and to remind you that when you're operating from divine truth, you're going to start to begin to see egos everywhere, and everyone's holding on to an ego in order to survive, because they're afraid to face the truths. And a lot of them have put a lot of time and effort. You can't just tell a person like, you're in a toxic marriage and you're really going off path and you're really like, what? I put all this time in this. Who are you to tell me? But the truth doesn't need to do that. The truth is always what it is. So once the truth enters into the world of the ego, its light already activates the falsehood that the ego's living in. And as long as you stay anchored in it with compassion, with grace, you're doing your own work. You're doing your own internal work. You're healing. You're expressing your creativity of the soul. And when that person comes back to get a glimpse of the truth, they'll come and orbit back to you. But to seek it, to control it, to heal it, to fix it is not the job of truth. Truth doesn't need time and karma and destiny and fate. Truth needs space. So if you're seeing that you're a truth teller in a person's world, and you constantly see that you are awakening someone, but it's happening slowly, that's a good thing. It's not about how quick you're able to reconnect with a person or to reconcile when you've had all this space apart. The space is where the truth is activated, and the space between the truth and the ego is where the truth shines, in the space. So continue to be a beacon of light, and don't worry if a person is unaware of where they are. You are already supporting them in their journey by being the light, being the truth. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments below.